Hi, Pasta Tyler. I just want to go over what happened here. You. Okay, let's start with what I said. The eternal logical being that you claim needs to exist given our universe, right? I asked you what specific qualities that being has which necessitates its place as the arbiter of truth and logic and nature in the universe. You do not seem to understand that the position is arbitrary. Anything that holds those specific qualities, right? The qualities needed, necessitated by its place as being the arbiter of logic and truth, were what I asked of you, right? You claim to know, Pasta Tyler, and yet, when I ask you what those necessary qualities are, you tell me if they have them, that would be God, your God, is what you really mean, by definition. And then you asked me to refute your argument. And I started to attempt to do that. I asked you a very simple question that there's no way you didn't understand what I meant. If they have those necessary qualities, they would be God by definition. Right. Which necessary qualities are required for them to be God by definition? I don't know. And then I ask you again. And you list all these big fucking fancy words. Transcendent. Transcendent's a good one. That could be one of them. Transcendental categories rooted in nature, logos, logoi, not composite. Wow. Right, unified, right? And then you say this dipshit thing, essentially, no, I don't want essentially, I want exactly, the Orthodox God. You seem to think I want to know, you seem to think that I want you to read the Holy Bible to me, but I don't. I want to know which specific things this God needs to have to be the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in our universe. And you just keep refusing to get me that, to give me that, so that I can begin my argument. You say I will, what is it, bait you into a fallacy and contend, and I refuse to contend with the argument. I am contending with your argument. I Do you understand how sophistry works? Of course, I'm trying to bait you into a fallacy. What you need to do to be honest in this conversation is follow my argument and answer my questions to the best of your ability. And then, once I have taken you to the logical conclusion of your answers, that's when you can uh, go after my premises themselves, right? But you refuse to do it. Over and over you did. About twice you did it. I think 3 times. You literally just said the same thing 3 times to avoid what I was attempting to convey to you. And then you called me retarded because you were unable to answer the first question. You were unable to answer the first premise of my argument. Do you want to see where I was going with it? I'll show you. I'll show you where I was going with it, okay? Let's take a look. So, your claim is that the Orthodox God is necessarily the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe. Right, so what this means is your God that you believe in is necessarily the eternal, timeless being that mediates truth, logic, and the behavior of the universe. This is your claim. So, the first question I need to ask is, what are the necessary qualities of a being that is the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe? Right? I have to ask that question to know what you even mean. Right? And say you actually engaged and you said, this being needs to be timeless, it needs to be morally perfect, and it needs to be all powerful, right? In this way, it can mediate truth, logic, and nature because it cannot change, and it has complete influence over the universe. So my next question, stay with me, Pasta Tyler. Why is that being necessarily the Orthodox God and not any other arbitrary being with those specific qualities? I'll wait until hell freezes over for my answer, because I know that there is no good answer to this question. I asked you to define those qualities, and you said, it's my God. Right? It does not follow. Right? Does it follow, right? Does it follow? The Orthodox God is necessarily the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe because it is timeless, morally perfect, and all powerful. So if this wasn't here, if that wasn't necessary for the argument, that might be a true statement. The Orthodox God is the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe because it is timeless, morally perfect, and all-powerful. If you could prove to me somehow that the conditions for being that eternal being are timelessness, moral perfection, and omnipotence, and that the Orthodox God was the only being that had those qualities, then I'd have to believe you. But it is not. It is not. Like, you could put anything in here. The Jewish God is necessarily the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe. Right? You could put fucking Santa Claus being an imaginary, fictional creature. Santa Claus is equally as arbitrary as your Orthodox God. Because what you were saying earlier is Santa Claus is necessarily the arbiter of truth, logic, and nature in the universe because it is Santa Claus. This is what you were saying. You were saying this. The Orthodox God is in control of the universe because the Orthodox God is in control of the universe. Please stop trying to avoid argumentation. I don't know if you're new to this, right? If you're just like a brand new presupper, but you suck at it. And this argument would defeat any presupper anyway, because and that's, I assume, why. Maybe you're aware of it. Maybe you're not new to it, and you're aware that this argument, um, you're incapable of addressing it. I'd like to see you address it. I'd like to know what's actually wrong with this argument. But you refuse to show me. You refuse. So, yeah, that's it, Pasta Tyler. Like I said before, God would want you to try harder. He really would.